If you've ever been to Disney's Animal Kingdom, you walked past it. You probably didn't notice it. Most people don't. But somewhere between the entrance gates and the Africa section, there's a gap in the park. A space that doesn't quite add up. A tree line that's a little too thick. A layout that feels almost complete, but not quite. That feeling wasn't in your head. Disney built something there. Started it, funded it, designed it down to the last detail, and then quietly buried it before a single guest could see it. If this is the kind of story you didn't know you needed, hit subscribe before we go any further. These are the stories that don't make the brochures, and we find them every single week. Disney's Animal Kingdom opened on April 22nd, 1998, fourth theme park at Walt Disney World, and from day one it was missing an entire section. Not a ride, not a single attraction. A full themed land, designed, funded, and partially constructed, that was supposed to sit right inside that park, alongside Africa, Asia, and Dino Land. Millions of people have walked through Animal Kingdom since 1998. Most of them never noticed the gap, never questioned the tree line, never realized the layout didn't quite add up. It was called Beastly Kingdom. This is the story of what it was supposed to be, what killed it before a single guest could see it, and why the real reason behind that decision has almost nothing to do with the explanation Disney has quietly let people believe for over 2 decades. Because the budget story, the one that gets repeated every time this comes up, is only half true. The other half involves a rival company, a group of Imagineers who walked out the door, and a decision that ended up costing Disney far more than the kingdom ever would have. By the end of this video, I'll show you the one piece of Beastly Kingdom that actually made it into the finished park. Something that's been sitting inside Animal Kingdom since opening day, in plain sight, that almost no one connects back to the kingdom that was supposed to be there. To understand how this happened, you have to go back to 1990. Disney was in one of the most confident stretches of its modern history. The Little Mermaid had just reset what people thought the company was capable of. The parks were packed, and Michael Eisner was looking for Disney's next big move in Florida. The idea that came back was unlike anything they'd built before, not another Magic Kingdom, not a studio tour. A park built entirely around animals, real ones, prehistoric ones, and a third category nobody had attempted at this scale. Creatures that didn't exist. Mythological animals, the animals of legend. Joe Rohde was the Imagineer leading the project. His vision wasn't just Africa, Asia, and dinosaurs. It was 4 lands, and the 4th one, the one he was most passionate about, was dedicated entirely to creatures of myth. Dragons, unicorns, griffins, pulled straight from the oldest stories humans have ever told. He called it Beastly Kingdom. It wasn't a side attraction. Rohde designed it to be the emotional centerpiece of the entire Animal Kingdom experience. The dark half housed a dragon, a massive audio-animatronic creature inside a mountain. The proposed flagship dark ride for the whole park. The light half had Quest of the Unicorn, a family boat ride through an enchanted forest so detailed that the line between real animal habitat and mythological world was supposed to completely dissolve. By 1994, this wasn't just an idea. Concept art existed. Disney's animatronics team had sculpted a full-scale dragon head, finished, sitting in a warehouse, waiting for a mountain that hadn't been built around it yet. Construction prep had begun on the actual site, and early park maps, the kind sent to travel agents, already showed Beastly Kingdom's entrance gate, complete with dragon heraldry and stone gargoyles. The park was on track for 1998. Beastly Kingdom was supposed to open with it. That's how close it got. But here's the part most people don't know. Those travel agent maps, the ones showing Beastly Kingdom's entrance gate, were recalled quietly. No announcement, no explanation. Disney just pulled them back and reprinted new ones with the land removed. Recalled maps don't happen because of budget adjustments. budgets get trimmed, attractions get scaled back. But you don't reprint every map and pull every copy from every travel agent in the country because of a cost overrun. You do it because someone made a decision, a specific decision, with a specific reason. We'll get to that reason. But first, you need to understand what guests were actually going to experience when they walked through those gates. Because until you feel what was lost, the decision doesn't hit the way it should. Picture walking through that entrance gate and feeling the temperature drop the moment you step inside the mountain pass. Not from air conditioning, because the designers wanted it to feel like you'd crossed into somewhere older. Somewhere that didn't follow the same rules as the world outside. Somewhere above you. Behind the stone walls, something moved. A low rhythmic sound, like breath, like weight shifting. And through a gap in the rock face, you'd see it. A full audio animatronic dragon. Its chest rising and falling, steam exhaling from its nostrils, its eyes tracking movement in the queue below. Watching you. That was just the entrance. Beastly Kingdom was built around two halves. On one side, Dragon Tower. The proposed flagship ride for all of Animal Kingdom, designed with the same ambition Disney put into Tower of Terror. Guests traveling deep into the mountain, into the lair of something that didn't want them there. On the other side, Quest of the Unicorn, a family boat ride through a living enchanted forest, griffins nesting in tree hollows, sea serpents moving beneath luminescent water, phoenixes suspended overhead in slow, permanent flight. Connecting both halves was a walking trail that blended seamlessly into the real animal habitats surrounding it, so that turning a corner might put a living okapi 20 yards to your left and a sculpted stone chimera 20 yards to your right, and your brain wouldn't be entirely sure which one was which. That was the whole idea. The border between real and mythological was supposed to dissolve. Joe Rohde described it simply. It was meant to be the emotional heart of the park, the place that made everything else possible. If Beastly Kingdom had opened in 1998, Animal Kingdom wouldn't just have been a great theme park, it would have been the most ambitious themed environment ever built. Nothing before it had tried to make mythology feel as physically real as the living world surrounding it. It would have been extraordinary. But there was a problem, one that had been growing quietly underneath everything. Animal Kingdom's budget was bleeding. The African savanna required live animal infrastructure Disney had never managed before. The Asia section was consuming engineering resources nobody had projected. Every land was running over. And Beastly Kingdom, requiring the most complex animatronics Disney had ever attempted, was the most expensive of all. By 1996, Eisner had seen enough. Disney's stock was under pressure. The board wanted answers, and going through the Animal Kingdom budget line by line, Eisner reached Beastly Kingdom's estimate, reportedly exceeding $300 million for that land alone. He circled it. But here's what most accounts leave out. The decision wasn't purely financial. Imagineer accounts from that period point to a second factor, one that was more strategic and in some ways more damaging. Universal Studios Florida had been quietly developing its own expansion into fantastical, immersive themed experiences. The exact space Beastly Kingdom was designed to own, Eisner didn't want to share it. His position was that Disney shouldn't compete in the same niche as a rival park 20 minutes up the road. If Universal was moving into fantasy and mythology, Disney would step back. Beastly Kingdom, built entirely around mythological creatures, suddenly wasn't an asset. It was a liability. Dragon Tower cut. Quest of the Unicorn cut. Beastly Kingdom officially deferred to a future phase. That phrase appeared in internal documents until 2001. After that, it stopped appearing entirely. Most people who tell this story stop right here. They blame the budget, blame Eisner, and call it a day. And those things are true, but they're not the whole story. The Imagineers who built Beastly Kingdom didn't quietly move on. Several of them left Disney entirely and walked straight into Universal Creative, taking everything they'd learned designing dragons, enchanted forests, and mythological environments with them. And what they built there, just a few miles up the road from the park that cancelled their kingdom, became one of the most profitable theme park additions in the history of the industry. You've almost certainly been there, and once you know what it is, everything Disney threw away in 1996 lands very differently. Animal Kingdom opened April 22nd, 1998. 4 lands, 1 missing. Where Beastly Kingdom was supposed to stand, Disney planted trees, fast-growing Florida natives, the kind that hide a concrete foundation in 5 years. They did exactly that. The Imagineers who left brought their knowledge of immersive world-building directly to Universal. In 2010, Universal's Islands of Adventure opened the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, a fully immersive fictional land, a flagship dark ride, a walking environment so alive, guests waited 4 hours and called it worth it. A seamless border between the world they knew and one they'd never entered. Exactly what Beastly Kingdom was designed to create, built by some of the same people who designed it. Universal drew 5 million additional visitors in year 1. And Disney's own internal research confirmed what nobody wanted to say out loud. Guests were leaving Walt Disney World mid-trip to go spend the day at Universal. Disney had handed their competitor the blueprint. Universal built it. Disney's response came slowly. After years of internal debate about what to do with the empty section of Animal Kingdom, they landed on Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar, a film that broke every box office record in 2009 and then largely faded from the cultural conversation. Disney paid for the rights anyway and built Pandora, the world of Avatar, bioluminescent creatures, a floating mountain, a boat ride through a living alien ecosystem. Everything Beastly Kingdom was designed to be. Under a different IP, Pandora opened May 2017, 19 years after the park, 19 years after the trees went in. The dragon whose finished head sat in a Disney warehouse in 1997 was never installed. What happened to it isn't publicly documented, it's just gone. And the one piece of Beastly Kingdom that actually survived? At the center of Animal Kingdom stands the Tree of Life, a 14-story sculpted tree, one of the most photographed structures in any Disney park. And fixed to its upper canopy, facing the main entrance so every guest who walks through the front gates passes beneath it, is a dragon, a weather vane, small enough that most people never look up far enough to notice, sculpted in the exact style of the 1994 concept art, placed there deliberately by Imagineers who knew what had been lost, a marker, a tribute, a kingdom that never opened. Most guests walk past it every single day. Today, the land where Beastly Kingdom was supposed to stand is Pandora. It's beautiful, but most guests walking through it have no idea they're standing on ground that was cleared for something else. Ground that sat empty for nearly 2 decades, while Disney figured out what to do with the gap they'd created. Beastly Kingdom was in development for 4 years, cancelled in under 12 months. The site dormant for 19 years. What replaced it is worth visiting, but it isn't what the people who designed it imagined. It isn't dragons and unicorns and a mythological world dissolving into the real one around it. It's an alien planet from a movie most people stopped thinking about 6 months after it left theaters. Disney never acknowledged what was lost, never released the concept art officially, never explained the recalled maps or the warehouse dragon or why the Imagineers who built it ended up working for a competitor down the road. They planted trees and waited for everyone to forget. If you've ever walked through Animal Kingdom and felt something you couldn't name, like the park was almost complete but not quite, you weren't wrong. You were standing in the space where something was supposed to be, feeling an absence Disney created and never explained. The dragon on the Tree of Life was the only acknowledgement they allowed themselves, small enough to miss, permanent enough to last. Someone put it there so the kingdom wouldn't be completely forgotten. It worked. And already made about its fate, and most of its guests had absolutely no idea. That one's on screen right now. If this story got you, if you had no idea that dragon was sitting up there this whole time, hit the like button before you go. It helps more people find these stories. And subscribe if you haven't already. There's a lot more where this came from.